Hello everybody and welcome. Today I just want to talk about the Pokemon update that's coming out here. It's going to be 8/16 is what they're saying. Basically, it should be coming out. That's when they announced it, but it should be coming out 8/18. Basically, if you're in US time, it's going to be coming out sometime really early Wednesday morning. Basically is when it's going to be coming out for you. If you're West Coast, it may be really late Wednesday night. Before quite the morning hours arrive. But you have to be like West Coast for that, though. Basically, it'll be coming out overnight for most people here, and then you'll be waking up Wednesday with a bit of a different game. So first of all, Blissy's been announced as a support and should be coming to the game during this update here. And we don't know much about it. We saw a bit of a gameplay for it. It's on their Twitter. I'm not going to show it here. It could be copyrighted or something, but I'm not going to show it here, but looks good. Looks like a pretty standard support. I'm happy to see another support, but I'm sad to not see Blastoise. That's just the truth of the matter, isn't it? Let's talk about the big nerfs and the buffs, though. There's a couple items that are getting buffs that I'm really excited to kind of see more of. So, bug fixes, text fixes, shop updates. Okay, sure. Changes being made to some Pokemon stats and moves to adjust the balance of Unite battles. First of all, Crustle. Crustle, nerf or buff? What do you think? No, you'd be wrong. It's getting a buff. Stealth Rock is getting buffed, cooldown reduced, and damage increased, and Rock Tomb is getting a damage increase as well. I never thought Crustle needed really a buff. I suppose he's fallen behind some of the other main tanks of the game. Slowbro and Snorlax have been destroying, but I never thought Crustle was actually weak. We'll see if those other two tanks get some nasty nerfs, and we'll see what Crustle ends up being, but I have a feeling they may end up being really strong. Garchomp is getting a buff or nerf. A buff. That I'm not too surprised with. Garchomp's been behind the pack in a lot of ways. I think it's mostly because of the challenge of playing him is a little bit higher. So I feel like really good Garchomps probably aren't that far behind, and they're going to be pretty far forward with this change. Movement speed change is what it says. That doesn't tell us what it means, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's faster. Bulldoze damage increased, and Dragon Rush, the cooldown is reduced. What I do notice is that sometimes they'll buff one of the two build paths, and you'll see that in future ones down here as well, to try to make it so that people start having to choose between the two builds rather than just, oh, this is the standard, this is the meta. I really like that they're trying to keep the meta from being too locked in, though. Anyway, Slowbro is next. What do you think? Buff, nerf? Slowbro. That's going to be a nerf. Yep. Surf duration of effects on opposing Pokemon decrease. Surf is not going to be ridiculously overpowered anymore, which is good. Slowbro's Surf was really strong. And Scald is getting some bug fixes, and it's getting its damage increase. So we'll see if people start using Scald. But they really are going to have to hit nerf pretty hard, I think, for that to be the case. Surf. Nerf, Surf, I think I was supposed to say. Heavy Slam. Snorlax. Buff or nerf? This one's not even a question. Snorlax is one of the best Pokemon in the game right now, as far as I'm concerned. Great jungle potential and a huge amount of damage for a tank, and then also tanks. Decent CC, not the best ever, but pretty good CC. Snorlax's Heavy Slam is going to be damage reduced. I think this is a good call. It does quarter to half health damage, and that's a little bit ridiculous for a tank. Block, which has been a very annoying and very useful. Annoying if you're against Snorlax, very useful if you are the Snorlax. Ability is getting duration of effects decreased. Now, since duration of effects on opposing Pokemon decreased, I'm thinking that means the knockback stun is not going to be as significant, where it feels like you just don't even have time to move out of the way. I think that's what's going to be changed. I don't know if the duration itself is going to be changed, but it's hard to tell sometimes with how these are written. Flail is getting a move upgrade. Now, I've seen some Flail clips that are not funny, because Flail... Yeah. So I don't know what they mean by move upgrade. If they're changing it or reworking it to a little bit, or if they're making it more powerful. They don't say here, they just say move upgrade. So we'll see what that means, but that could be dangerous. I thought Flail was actually pretty good. Not tanky, makes him less of a tank, but a bit of a bruiser. Unite move, power nap, HP restoration is decreased. Nerfs, basically all around, we just don't know about Flail. Greninja, what do you think? Greninja is getting a nerf. And I think I agree with this mostly, but I felt like Greninja was in a decent spot where if they got ahead, they carried, which is what I think Greninja was supposed to do. And if they were behind, they were just stompable. Well, Greninja's getting a bit of a nerf here. Smokescreen is getting a move downgrade, whatever that means, and cooldown lengthen. That could mean that it doesn't slow as much or it doesn't reduce vision as much. I don't really remember. I never played Greninja other than once in the jungle to test its speed. Water Shuriken is getting cooldown reduced and damage dealt to opposing Pokemon increased. So, you know what? I guess I'd have to go ahead and... Smoke Screen's getting a nerf, but Water Shuriken's getting a buff. I think Water Shuriken probably plays heavier than Smoke Screen, so let's call this an overall buff. But they're buffing one side of the build path, is what it looks like to me. Double Team is also getting cooldown reduced. Double Team is not very great, but it seems like they may be trying to get you to have to choose again between the two options. So let's call that a buff, I think. Water Shuriken, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon increase is basically why I think we call that a buff. Water Shuriken, if I remember correctly, can slap pretty good. So trying to bring them up into par maybe with Cinderace and the others. Wigglytuff is getting just a bug fix. All the rest of these are bug fix on their ult. Cinderace is getting basic attack bug fixes. Not sure what that means. Alolan Ninetales is getting a Snow Warning bug fix and Aurora Veil bug fix. Gardevoir bug fix on Psychic and basic attack. They don't really basic attack a lot, so we'll see what that is. Cramorant's getting a bug fix on Hurricane. And then just a couple little more changes to other items. Wild Pokemon Avalugg is getting a stat decrease. That will speed up jungling by a hair, possibly. I'm not sure how much of a difference it's going to make. I found the jungle to be fast enough for basically any... You could basically bring anybody to the jungle and be fine. So I don't know why this is happening, but we are seeing that. Now, this is the ones that I'm really interested in, the battle items. Eject button is getting what's called a stat decrease. I don't know what a stat decrease on eject button is going to look like because eject button didn't give you stats. My guess is that it's going to be an increased timer or it won't eject as far. Both of which I think is kind of goofy. The increased timer is a way to do it. Right now, eject is just the item, and it probably will always be the item. And I don't have a necessary problem with it being the item. Just like Flash in League of Legends, it's just too useful to not bring in most cases. We'll see. If you take eject and you make it so you can't hop over walls, it becomes frankly useless, I think, by decreasing the amount of distance that you can jump with it. If you increase the cooldown, I think that's probably fine. Goal Getter is getting a buff, though. Goal Getter is getting a stat increase. Goal Getter is where, I think if I remember correctly, Goal Getter increases your dunk time. And I think that there's some cool builds that we could use Goal Getter for. Fluffy Tail is getting a stat increase. That's going to be increased damage on jungle mobs. Will increase the speed of the jungle, which I thought was fast enough if you use Fluffy. But they're trying to get Fluffy Tail to be like, yes, I will use this. Well, we'll have to see how fast jungling gets with Fluffy Tail because I think it's going to be insane. And X Attack, which wasn't used much, is also getting a stat increase. So there you go. There's a whole bunch of different things coming in here for Pokemon Unite in this next patch. Again, most of people are waking up on Wednesday morning with this already in the zone here. Everything kind of taking effect. We'll have to test a lot of the stuff out. The stuff I'm really interested in is a Goal Getter build of just dunking in people's faces using some shield and stuff like that. Fluffy Tail as well, obviously. And we'll have to see what the heck Unite, whatever... the eject button stat decrease means. We'll have to see what eject button looks like now, I suppose. Alrighty, well, thank you very much for joining. I'm excited for this one. See you guys next time.